Hickory dickory dock, the mouse ran up the clock. Hello! I'm the foreign freak. Well, that time of year again where countries around one particular continent get together to celebrate peace, love, and goodwill to all men. No, it's not Christmas, but it does come once a year. Yes, I'm in fact talking about Eurovision! Eurovision, the longest running TV show in the world. Longer than Sesame Street, longer than Doctor Who, longer than any crappy American soap opera. Starting off as a means to reunite a continent in 1954, in the aftermath of World War II, it became a guilty pleasure among Europeans for over 50 years. A variety of good, bad, and weird song numbers. Some more memorable than others. This year, it was held in Sweden, who won the year before with the song Euphoria from Loreen. And what better place to host it? After all, Sweden is the third biggest distributor of pop music, right next to the US and the UK. One of the many famous traits of Sweden, and it's also famous for meatballs, IKEA, and... That was my fear when I was gonna watch this, is that it was gonna have too many ABBA clones. I mean, let's face it, for those who don't watch the show, the one thing they think about Eurovision is ABBA. Luckily I was proven wrong when there was a bit more variety and that people did try to create some originality. Upon saying that, I noticed a bit of a pattern with this year's competition. It all felt really restrained. Compared to other years such as 2009, my personal favourite, where it was big set, pyrotechnics and everything, it doesn't quite have that same wow factor as I hoped to have. And I've noticed that during the past few years watching it. It didn't have that particular pizzazz. So some of the performances were average this year. Don't get me wrong, there was plenty of interesting ones, but that was like once in a blue moon. We had to pick through all the lame, boring and generic songs that were entered this year. After much thought, I've actually come up with a list of the lamest. That's right. Get yourself an Allen key, build yourself an IKEA chair, and sit back and relax, because I'm counting down the top 10 lamest songs of Eurovision 2013. Number 10. Something I should mention, this year's logo for Eurovision was a butterfly. And for this song she does pull off with her lyrics and with her ring. And yet this is still called Gravity. Well, it does mention her falling before she says she could just fly away. The song, in my opinion, is a bit shallow. I only say that because it doesn't mention any real struggle in the verse. And doesn't play with the whole gravity metaphor. Unless you watch the music video, it falls her in zero gravity. But that's not what the title's called! And her performance on stage, not that interesting. What she do is get carried on stage by a giant Viking who just stands and sings. Don't know what happened to the Viking, he just wandered off. Number 9! Yes, there are astronauts in this. Don't know why they're there. If my subtitle projector was working, I would try to translate it to figure out what they're trying to talk about. Though, that said, the performance itself, I never got into the hip-hop trend, and what's this got to do with astronauts? Again, I don't know. It's just a bunch of douche music, rapping, and this sounds like every song I hear in a nightclub. There's nothing really special about it. It's visually interesting, yes, but that's about it. It's interesting when I first saw this, when I saw the female in the group. Her costume may look like something a full cosplay would wear, but honestly, it reminds me of a costume that a Bollywood actor I once saw wear in the science fiction movie Robot. Since he was imitating a robot, you can understand where I'm coming from. Visually interesting and kind of dull. Hip hop's not really for me. Number 8. Yeah, this one's interesting.
I have to tell you something. It's been on my mind
Well, what's on your mind?
long. I've got to tell you this. It's been on my mind way too long.
Come on! Tell me! Don't leave me hanging!
If you don't know, I'm in love with you. When summertime falls, it becomes untrue because of my shoes I'm wearing today. One is called love, the other is pain.
Is he hitting on the shoes? I know he's talking about how he would always love whoever he's talking to. But it sounds like he's proposing to his shoes. Look, I understand your object sexuality, but please not on stage. A little bland yet surreal. What can I say? It's either making love to a woman or shoes. Next! Number 7. You might recognize her from last year with the Social Network song. Yeah, that was an internet sensation, wasn't it? Anyway, yep, she was back with a major change to her performance. Instead of singing in English like last year, she was singing in Italian. I don't know why. And instead of a laptop as a prop, her props were balls of light. She made that major change to interpret dance, but without the dancing. All she really does is sit there holding her ball and standing up while the wind machine kicks in. There's not much I can actually say about it. Lighting's nice. She can hit the notes. It sounds like opera, but not quite. It's a major improvement, but didn't get her far enough into the finals. Sorry. Before we move on, I think I might as well talk about one of the main issues with this year's contest. I mentioned before it was really restrained. And when I mean restrained, a majority of them are just standing in front of a microphone. They're not dancing. Some of them do play instruments, but not all of them. And the costumes aren't over the top. It's like if they're out of form or something. I blame the financial crisis in Europe. So it does feel restrained in the sense that it doesn't have much funding because of what's happening in Europe. And I'm not sure if that's the real case, but if it is, it really shows. Number 6. Yet another example of a restrained artist in front of the mic. Her voice is alright, but it doesn't carry out any particular energy in my opinion. She doesn't even move much in this performance apart from her arms, and sometimes even fondling the mic. Yeah. I mean, come on! Put a bit more energy into it! Go for a walk on stage, or give someone in the audience a high five like Malta did this year. Note to self, research more Maltese pop music. Not much I can say about this one, apart from being a Celine Dion clone, only a tad worse. Number 5. I can't really think of anything. Next. Number 4. This is what Eurovision was missing this year. Cosplayers! This may work if the singers had a bit more energy, but to be honest, they didn't use up much of the stage. Just stood in one spot looking as if they were gossiping. While we're gossiping, the vocals don't really hit the high notes and make it sound like they're whining a bit. And this is an example where they have the costume, but they just need to let it out a bit more and actually add a bit more energy. Bright costumes is what Eurovision is all about. Going back to the idea of using up the stage, it might have helped if they actually walked up to parts of the audience and actually flirted with them. After all, this is meant to be a breakup song, like everything else in the music industry these days. Number 3. A woman in a dress on stage. That's a new one. I haven't talked much about the music in this countdown, have I? Let's take a quick look at this one. First impression is that it's got that high-tech tune, and the tuning is alright. Mentioned some of my notes. Listening to this does sound a bit like a James Bond thing. It sounds like she was a high-tech Adele. Performing wise, it is an improvement from just standing there, but I feel it would be better if she had more stand-up dances with her. Overall, it's not that bad and it's open to some improvement. So, good luck to you. Number 2. It's nothing really memorable, this one. Just sounds like opera but isn't. It's trying to be epic, Leslie Dion, Olivia Newton-John, blah blah. But the one thing I find distracting is glasses. Look, you don't wear glasses in formal wear. It doesn't quite work. Next time, bring contact lenses. There are plenty of artists out there that have glasses, but they're not meant to be taken formally, as they're usually wearing casual or very surreal artistic outfits. Your outfit's a bit too formal to be wearing glasses like that. It just looks really distracting. This year's been a really difficult year for me. I mean, there's nothing really memorable. So, who's gonna be my number 1? And the number 1 lamest song of this year's Eurovision is Netherlands, Birds. Yeah, this one didn't really speak to me. I actually heard this artist is actually a rocks and blues artist, but for some reason when she got into Eurovision this year, she changed it to a more classical style. And it doesn't really work. If you're gonna sell yourself to the rest of Europe, at least show what you're good at before you go experimenting. Otherwise you might give a bit of a boring impression. The song doesn't have much build up and I can't really pay attention to the lyrics because I'm a bit too bored. And that's basically it. Just birds. I think it's a love song or something, but I can't be too bothered paying attention. The end. So those were my top 10 lame songs for this year. It's not the worst contest I've seen, but once you get through all the bones or the boring performances, there are some really good ones that came out this year, such as Malta with Tomorrow, Croatia's El Divo ripoff, but let's not forget who won. Denmark. The song Teardrops was a fun and energetic performance, which I felt actually deserved the win. The lighting and the gold motif was nice, pyrotechnics and effects were enjoyable, memorable, and it had that really cool mixture of pop and Celtic music that really soothed into me, because I have listened to other Celt pop music before, so it was kind of refreshing compared to all the other generic love songs we heard during the year. So it's only just a Eurovison bridge away to the next contest. So what's the future for Eurovision now? I don't know, but let's just hope it'll be as exciting as previous years. If we can get past the financial crisis and that Europe doesn't get into any more debt. In the meantime, I'm the Foreign Freak, riffing the world, one continent at a time.
Tell me, how many times do we win and lose? How many times do we break the rules between us? Only teardrops. How many times do we have to fight? How many times do we get it right between us? Only teardrops. What's gone between us? What's gone between us? Only teardrops. What's gone between us? What's gone between us? How many times can we win and lose? How many times can we break the rules between